Hey Jelly, it's Ari, and today I'm back with another speed build story time. If you're new here, hi, my name is Aurelia Albright, and I love making Terraria content here on YouTube. Usually I will make sped up speed builds, yes. It is the speeding up of my building process in Terraria, so you can see all of what I'm doing in my builds. And I love making things feel like a dollhouse when I build. So I use a lot of echo blocks, echo platforms, paints, and different building materials. So if you like that sort of thing, feel free to stick around. In today's video, I'm doing a speed build story time. So instead of it just being a sped up build like I usually would do, I've been leaning into this new thing I came up with where I will tell stories, and eventually maybe I'll start reading Reddit posts over top of my builds as I'm building. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about how I've struggled with feeling like I don't belong anywhere throughout my life. And I thought this would be a good topic for me to speak on because it's something I've dealt with for as long as I can remember. I feel like dealing with this sensation of being an outsider can be really isolating, and I want people to know that if they feel this way, they aren't alone. For the build in today's video, I'll be building a place for the NPCs to live, or in other words, giving them places where they belong. I want to make them towards each NPC's aesthetic as well, so when you see me building for the NPCs, keep in mind I'm trying my best to tune into what I think they would like or want in their home. The first house that I started out with was the guides, naturally. So when building for the guide, I really tried to go homey, natural, kind of cozy, because the guide is more of a cozy person. Like, he doesn't want things too over the top, right? Like, if you go to the Terraria wiki, you can read about the things he likes, and one of them is paint. Well, he doesn't like paint, he hates paint. He doesn't like the painter. He thinks that the world is good the way that it is, right? So I tried to keep that in mind. Of course, I still ended up using a lot of paint. I'm a painter, okay? I love building in Terraria. I need paints. It's hard to not use them when you build so much, am I right? So it was definitely a challenge, but I did try to lean into that as much as I could. So the paint in this build is a bit sparse. I think that's the word. It's more sparse to the amount of paint that I would usually use. So in between my stories, I'll probably make a little commentary on the builds that I'm doing, just as a tension break, since this topic can be a little heavy. So let's get into it. To start, some of my earliest memories involving this feeling of unbelonging are from school experiences or playing in group settings with other kids my age. I can remember trying to say the right things or do what others would do as an attempt to fit in, but it never really brought me closer to having friends or feeling like I belonged. It often felt like I was looking through a window, but only seeing through one window pane. In other words, not seeing the big picture that everyone else was in. Even in more intimate settings, like playing with two other kids, I found myself struggling. I can remember playing imaginary games where we would act out a scene, and somehow they'd always have their characters exit, and I'd end up realizing eventually that they weren't coming back to finish our game or scene. I remember one time when I was visiting two friends at their house, this happened, and their mom called my mom and told her she thought something was wrong with me, because oftentimes when this sort of thing would happen, I'd just continue the story on my own and make up my own ending or simply pretend on my own. I was a very imaginative kid and I liked these sort of story games a lot. So when my friend's mom saw me outside, like pretending and talking to myself, I guess it worried her. So in this next build, we are building for the golfer, and for some reason, I just feel like he would have a fancier home, like something more nice, you know? So I went modern with this build. When I was alone, I would create this whole imaginary world. It was the only place I felt like I actually belonged. I remember I would even pace around my room, continuing stories I'd make up until I'd feel tired enough to sleep. In a way, it was very self-soothing after some of the things I'd experienced in school or daily life. It was a place where I could escape. Kind of similar to how I make builds in Terraria, I feel like it's a great way to escape, you know, creating a beautiful world that I can have my character go into and I can do things. It's very self-soothing and it's part of what I love so much about building in Terraria. So one of the harshest experiences I had with feeling like an outsider in school was when I thought I had become good friends with another girl. She had spent the night at my house and I remember feeling so happy. I had finally found a friend, someone to talk to and share things with. But the next day at school, I would find out the truth. She didn't stay over because she was my friend. She did it to spy on me for her group of friends. And it was heartbreaking to someone like me who had always felt like she was on the outside looking in. To feel like, wow, I'm finally inside with everyone else. Just to realize that they did this to be mean to me was very painful. And looking back now, I can see how it happened more clearly, and I feel so much sadness for my younger self because it wasn't her fault. She was just a kid trying to belong. Eventually, I was homeschooled for a period of time because of the bullying experiences that I had in school. And even then, I would sometimes go in person to see a teacher in a small class. There was only a few students there, including me. I remember having a strong crush on someone there, and one day they used the classroom chat to ask me for my Spotify, which I gave to them, not realizing that Spotify had messaging at the time. We talked sometimes there, and eventually he would ask me on a date. We ended up seeing a really bad movie, and I remember feeling confused but excited in a way, you know, when you might have your first date when you're a teenager or a young person, and you're excited because you like them, but nervous. But the next time I saw him in class, things felt off, like something had shifted. Well, another boy started making cruel jokes about me, including inappropriate remarks about my body. Later, he would find me on Spotify too and messaged me saying he dared the other boy to ask me on a date, and the whole thing had been a prank. It was so embarrassing the day that it happened because he did this while we were all in class. And I remember looking over after he messaged me and seeing him and the other boy laughing together. I remember never going to the in-person class again, and eventually I would go back to public school, in a different school, of course. So in the next build, I'm making a house for the zoologist, and I decided to put her underground because she is a werewolf, and I thought that she might want some privacy, and I only gave her one big window because she can't see the moon, right? So I go through her build, making it more colorful, keeping in mind like she loves animals and the outdoors. So I will give her a few pets as I continue building. So that experience was really painful, and I couldn't understand why things like this kept happening to me. For a long time, I tried to find an explanation. My naivety, my social struggles, other people's behavior or situations, but I never really got closure. And I think that's something I've had to learn over time, that not everything gets closure. Sometimes you just have to acknowledge what happened, process how it made you feel, and let it exist without needing a perfect explanation. I used to replay things like this over and over, trying to understand them, but I've learned that letting go sometimes looks like saying, "This hurt me. I felt embarrassed, I was tricked, and that happened to me." You know? It's understandable to feel the way that I did after it happened. And I've started applying that in my everyday life too. Even at work now, when something upsetting happens, I try to acknowledge it by saying something like, "That irritated me. That bothered me. That was annoying." And it's okay that it bothers me or hurts me. Instead of letting myself spiral and wonder why it happened or why someone was rude to me, etc. And I think that's made it easier for me to move on. And I know it's easier said than done. For a long time, I hated when people told me, "Just let it go," or "Why do you care so much?" I didn't understand how you're supposed to let go of something that feels like it shaped you, or even just intense things that happen to you every now and then. How do you move on without understanding why? It's really difficult, you know? I think something that's helped me as well is journaling. So, especially for the more prominent things that happened, like these memories that I'm sharing with you today, it helped me to journal them in a specific journal that I got just for memories, things I don't want to forget in case I ever need to revisit them, or in case I want to think about them or reflect on them. I write them down, and then it's not weighing on me all the time. I'm not thinking like, "Oh my gosh, that happened. I'm upset about it." It's in the past, and I think it's okay for it to stay in the past. I've realized that letting go doesn't mean you're excusing what happened or saying it was okay. It just means you're choosing not to carry it with you anymore. And that's okay. Something can happen to you and you don't need to have it hanging over you all the time. It's okay to acknowledge it and set it free. I think I like that better than letting go. Set it free. Don't let it hang over you like a crow. If you know, you know. I'll let you in on the secret, Jellies. I'm very afraid of birds. So I know so many people love crows, but don't let it chase you like a seagull. How about that? But yeah, that's all I have prepared for this video. I hope you enjoyed the builds. You will get to see a close-up of it before the video ends of each build. Have you been through anything like this before? Have you struggled with the idea of letting things go? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Oh wait, Jellies, please like and subscribe. It helps me so much. And if you comment, I'm even more likely to keep making videos like this. Thank you. Bye.